Hello, everyone. I'm Tyler Ingle with the NEC. Just wanted to welcome everyone here to the NEC Run podcast on the NEC Overtime. Um, with me today is Brooke Morabito, CCSU grad student and 2024 NEC Cross Country individual champion for the Blue Devils, who helped guide them to their eighth title to tie the league record. Thanks for taking the time to join us today, Brooke. We'll just start it off, just kind of going back to when you were younger as a kid. What really clicked for you, and when did you start with that love of running?
Yeah, so I was actually a soccer player all the way up until high school. I did a lot of road races. My parents were kind of into like lots of road racing and stuff, so I always did road racing on the side. And I was actually supposed to do soccer my freshman year of high school, and there was this race I always did in the summer in my hometown, and it was a 5K, and the whole cross country team did it as well. And I ended up beating the whole cross country team there as an eighth grader. And the coach was like, "You should really do like cross country and not soccer." And I was like, you know what? Like, what am I doing? Like, let me do cross country. And yeah, that's kind of how it started. And I was like the number one runner on our team as a freshman. Like I won like our first meet as a freshman. So yeah.
And then just kind of went from there. So
Yeah.
then transitioning from there, what stood out to you about CCSU, and what kind of led you to make that decision?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny actually. So the exact same race that made me transition to cross country from soccer was the exact race I met Coach Eric Blake at. He was there talking to one of my friends, and my dad was like, "You should really talk to him. Like you're thinking of running in college, like go talk to him." And I was like so nervous, and like my dad helped me talk to Coach Blake, and like we just really clicked. And like I was looking at other schools, but I just felt like Coach Blake like really wanted me, and it just felt like a good match. And I didn't really want to go far. And yeah, that's pretty much yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
Mhm.
of not going far, obviously now you've had a pretty accomplished career with three top 10 finishes at the NEC championships overall. For you, getting that kind of, final run, your last course on your home course, what was that feeling just not crossing the finish line, but crossing the line and looking behind you and seeing no one for just under a minute?
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't really like I knew there was no one like super close behind me, but I didn't know like just how far behind me they were. And I honestly had like no idea like what pace I was running. And like going into like the race, like we had like the course record like on my mind, but my main like goal was to just do what I could to help the team. So for me, that meant like trying to control the pace at the start, which didn't really end up working out, which is fine, but it worked out really well. So then I just kind of went for it with like going into like the hill loop and then the last loop and kind of just hammered it on my own. And it ended up being a course record. Mhm.
And then heading into regionals, what were your kind of thoughts about that? Obviously, the Northeast it's a pretty strong field overall. So how'd you feel, heading into that race?
Yeah, so my whole season like has been geared towards making nationals because little like fact about last year, I was really trying to make regionals for the 10K during outdoor track and I actually missed it by 2 spots. So that really stung a lot. So I really shifted like my focus to making nationals. Like I really wanted that to be like what I went out on just after like missing it during outdoor. So that was like the goal the whole season. All my workouts were geared towards that. So the plan in regionals was to just go out with the front pack, like hang on there until like there was the last loop of a 2K and just like hammer and see where I could go and ended up working out. So it's good.
Yeah, and then after regionals, I know you said obviously you had nationals on your mind, but kind of that limbo time of once you saw you didn't get the automatic qualifier, where was your mindset at then?
Yeah, I was definitely really nervous. And like, I was so nervous for regionals because I was like, wow, this is either like my last race for Central ever or national. So it was just like really stressful. And then, like, what it came, I don't know if you know like what it came down to, but it's really confusing for cross country. So it actually came down to a tiebreaker. And me and Coach Blake were like pretty sure I had it, but like not 100%. And I
Yeah.
guess like the coach from Providence like texted him and was like, she's in. And like Coach Blake didn't tell me because he didn't want me to like be upset. But yeah, so basically it came down to the two at-large individuals across all regions. And me and this other girl were tied for eighth place. Someone else got seventh. So they took that seventh girl, and then we were tied for the eighth place. So then they looked at how close both of us were to the next individual qualifier time wise. So I was 7.7 seconds off the next individual, and she was 8 seconds off. So I literally made it by point 0.3. And that wouldn't have even been a thing. I beat two girls right at the line. So if I hadn't beat those two girls, like it wouldn't have even been like a question. Like I wouldn't be in.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now obviously, in NEC history here, you're only the second runner to qualify for nationals as an at-large. So when you
Yeah.
hear that, I guess, what was your first thought there? And then obviously, okay, now it's actually happening. What are your goals for nationals, and do you have a certain strategy going into it?
Yeah, so it's actually funny. The other person who has made it at large is from my hometown. So we're both New Milford natives, which is kind of funny. And he's actually like a pro athlete now. So it's just kind of cool to see like that growth. But yeah, it feels like not real yet. Like it just feels really weird. Like, because I've had lots of really amazing teammates like Angela Rafter and Ashley Dana, and like just like seeing like my growth like after them too is just really cool. And like going into nationals, the goal is to try and get all American, which is top 40. So just try and go out with that front pack. Obviously it's like a whole different ball game because there's like crazy runners out there, but yeah, I feel like I can do it.
Touching on teammates, how has Coach Burke there really built such a strong program?
Yeah, he is like the best. Like people have asked me before, like you could go somewhere else for grad school, like if you wanted to. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to get a better coach anywhere else. His training has worked for me so much, and so many of my other teammates, like I wouldn't even want to like risk that. Like even now, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to leave because like I love his coaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, and not only like the coaching aspect, like he's just like a great person in general. Like I tell like the younger athletes on the team all the time, like I trust him with my life.
I mean, speaking of younger athletes here, I have to ask, having the chance, what's it like to have your sister with you on the team? Obviously,
Yeah.
she's your younger sister. Do you ever find yourself kind of subconsciously almost becoming another coach to her? Is it just, you're out there running with your sister?
It's like it's weird. Sometimes I forget that we're sisters because we're such like close friends. That's something like that because she's like a completely different runner than me and like has her own strengths and stuff like that. So I think just like building upon her strengths and making it known that like she's gonna be something great as well.
No, definitely.
Hmm.
After graduation, is running something you want to stay involved in collegiately, like coaching? Do you want to go turn it into a hobby? What are your goals, not just in the sport, but in life moving forward now?
Yeah, so honestly, like goal is try and chase a pro contract, which is like really hard with running, but I'll have a year left of my grad program, so I'll probably just stay training locally, and do like lots of like road races and stuff like that, and just try to get my times down even more so that once I'm graduated from Central, I have more options for that.
And then, you've spoken very highly already of coach in the program, but
Mhm.
any prospective cross country athletes, track and field athletes, this is kind of your chance. Why should they look into Central? What's special about it?
Yeah. So I think what's so special about it is that like it really is like a family. Like there's honestly a lot of siblings on the team and like we're just so close with Coach Blake and the way he like takes athletes who maybe weren't amazing in high school and just makes them develop into like these great runners. Like Angie was like a 23-minute 5K runner in high school and she broke so many records at Central. Like she runs like in like the 15s now, like it's just crazy what he can do. There's been so many people on the team that he's made like such great athletes.
What about the school itself? What's special off off of running? What
Yeah.
do you like there?
Yeah. I've made so many like great connections, not even just with like people and like the athletic staff, but my professors as well. Like I feel like they're just like super supportive. Like I always tell people I've never really had like many professors that I didn't like. And most of them are really understanding when it comes to athletics as well, which is super important because I know that's not the case for all schools. Like I've actually never had an issue at all. Like even in grad school, like you'd think it would be harder because you're not really supposed to miss class, but like I emailed my professor, I'm missing class tomorrow, and she was like, don't even think twice about class. Like go enjoy this experience. Like the support here is just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
Best of luck at nationals.
thank
Be
you.
competing University of Wisconsin on Saturday,
Mhm.
November 23rd. That race will be at 10:20 a.m. You can watch on ESPNU or the ESPN app. Once again, this was the NEC On the Run podcast on NEC Overtime, and we will see you all next time.